My guest in conversation today is celebrating 72 years in show business this year. She made her Broadway debut in 1954 alongside Julie Andrews in The Boyfriend. Other New York appearances include Side by Side by Sondheim and 42nd Street. In London, she starred in Espresso Bongo and The Card, and in 1987, Follies, of course. She was the resident singer on the live satirical TV show That Was the Week That Was. And more recently, she's appeared in Will and Grace. She's appeared in The Days of Our Lives. She played Daphne's mother in Frasier. And currently, she is starring alongside Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin in the smash hit TV series Grace and Frankie, playing Joan Margaret. It's been an amazing career, and it ain't over yet. Joining me from her home in LA, it's Millicent Martin. Happy birthday.
Thanks, darling. Thank you. Yes, my dog's saying happy birthday too. My 86th birthday. So I'm doing okay.
I wasn't going to mention your age. I did want to mention the 72 years in show business because that's fantastic. Before we get into the whole career thing, what's life been like for you in LA, in lockdown?
Well, Mark and I, two of the lucky people, my lovely husband and I, we've been married for 42 years and we adore each other. So that is a long way to being able to live in lockdown. We've got a lovely apartment with 2 big courtyards, so we can go out and sit out there, and we feed the birds, we feed the squirrels. We don't have to work. The people that have to go to work, like the hospitals and the schools and the people giving us our food and driving us around, how they do it, their courage is amazing to have to go to work to earn their keep. I'm one of the lucky ones. I can sit here like a lazy cow and just have people look after me, and I do appreciate every second. And when people deliver my food and things like that, they get a big tip. I mean, they are the bravest people I know, and I think they're all wonderful. There, I've said my piece.
Were you in the middle of something when all this happened, Millie?
Yes, we were on our last series of episodes of Grace and Frankie. We had 16 to do. We got 3 done, and on the 3rd one, it was looking pretty bad that we should not be doing this. This would be the last one we would shoot because Jane Fonda is 80, Lily Tomlin is 77. I'm the old bird, and they've got to, you have to be careful with the more senior people because that's the chances get bigger. So they close down. But what we do for people who are not in business, there's a thing called a table read, where we all sit round and read the script that's been written so that the writers can hear it, see where it's funny, see where the laughs come, see where they've made a mistake, and then they can do rewrites. So what we're doing is on Zoom like this, we are all getting together, like there will be 12 pictures of all of us reading. Everybody else is off screen, the designers and the costumers, makeup and everything, they're all listening along with the writers, but they're not on screen. So we're doing that so that when we can go back, we will hopefully have the 13 scripts ready to go so we can really get in as fast as we can to get them all. We shoot them like hour-long films. They're done in the studio. We don't do the whole scenes. We shoot it like an actual film. So that is quicker because you can do a small bit and then move on quickly. And so you're not spoiling a whole take and then have to go back again. If we do it in bits, then that clever man, the editor, can cut it together. So we all miss it. And luckily we're all on emails, writing to each other. I adore Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin. They're the best 2 ladies you could ever get to work with. They're charming, they're warm, they just love having you around, you know, and you can't beat a good show with the producers, which is Howard R. Morris and Marta Kaufman, and she invented the show Friends, and which was a huge hit. And so when you work with these people, they have such fun. They're so lovely. They come in, they're always in there. They're not just sitting in their offices, you know, showing off. They're in, you know, making suggestions and looking and checking that everything's working, that everybody's happy. And the fact that they are so lovely and they make it such fun, the whole studio, it's like, you know, it's a joy to go in there. Everybody is having a good time.
Millie, was it a straight offer getting the part?
Well, what happened was I was doing a film in England called Melody, which I thought was a lovely movie, and we were halfway through it and some guy disappeared with all the money. And so the producers said to me, don't, you know, hang around in the hotel. It may be a while, or we may never get to do it, which is sadly what happened. They said, we'll send you back home to America, and then if we get it up and running, we'll call you back. So I came back very sad, very depressed, because it was so lovely to do. And within 10 days, I was guesting on Grace and Frankie in a what we call a one-off, where you just go in and do the one day. And I did it. It went out. I got some nice reactions to it, and apparently they liked what I'd done. And so they brought me in to be Jane and Lily's assistant. Terrible assistant.
So no audition, it was just a straight offer. Come and do this this tryout and see how you do.
Yeah. So
nice.
It was like, and the same thing happened with Frasier. I was doing a play, and the director, wonderful man called David Lee, was directing it. And I realized that he was also the creator and producer of Frasier. And we're halfway through the rehearsals, and he came up to me in a break and he said, look, we've been thinking about bringing Daphne's mum over. Would you like to do it? And I said, oh, let me think about that for a while. Of course I'd like to do it. So I'm so lucky. I am so lucky. I can't tell you.
Well, I think you make your own luck, actually. I really do. But you know, when you cropped up in Will and Grace and Frasier and stuff, it's such a big deal over here in the UK. Those American series, they're like something else. It is really big news.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad people like it. I've had, you know, some nice reactions from people in England, so that's lovely, because, you know, every time I work, I just think, oh, I hope they like it at home, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know they do. Okay, so let's go right the way back. You were born in Romford, in Essex.
I'm an Essex girl, and proud of it.
Was it a show business family?
Well, my grandmother, I think she went under the stage name as Dorothy Gelsthorpe. She was with the D'Oyly Carte Opera. So I had her as an opera singer, and I had some people called the Thompson brothers who were tap dancers in music hall. So I've got both sides of the thing, but not close, that, you know, not mum or dad or anything like that.
Okay, but it was there. And was it really dance, first of all, that you wanted to do? Was that your first real interest?
Yes, because when I was a kid and the war was on, I contracted TB, and my aunt used to take me to the movies to cheer me up, because I couldn't go to school. I couldn't be around children because otherwise they would catch it. So she used to take me to the afternoon movies when the theatre was sort of empty, rather like now. And I fell in love with Gene Kelly and Donald O'Connor. And it was funny because it wasn't the lady dancers that I wanted to be like. I remember be like Sid Charisse. As much as I loved her, I wanted to dance like Gene Kelly and Donald O'Connor. So that I kept saying, "Oh, please, can I go and learn to dance?" So they sent me to a little ballet school first in Romford, the Edna Ball School. And she, after a while, she said, I think Millie's got a bit of talent. I think you should send her to a stage school. So I went to the Italia Conti Stage School when I was 12.
And who was there with you? Were there any more people who carried on in the business?
Somebody you might have heard of called Anthony Newley.
Yes, of course. I'd forgotten that he was there when you were there. Yeah.
We were like brother and sister for a couple of years. We just, I adored him, and we went about everywhere, you know. And then he got the wonderful film, The Artful Dodger, in Oliver Twist. Oh, the school was so proud of him, and he was so thrilled. And Johnny Briggs was there at the same time. And the three of us were sort of, they kind of said to us, you know, these Cockney accents, you're not going to get very far. You'll probably end up playing bus conductors or something like that. You know, we've got to get you. So we went downstairs and we said, how dare they? We are not, no, we're not going to lose our Cockney accents. It's going to become popular. And luckily the kitchen sink came in then about 2 years later, where everybody were coming in with different accents. And so it was great, because they were right. I mean, we wouldn't have gotten anywhere if the whole theatrical thing hadn't changed. Just a minute, my dog is go.
It's great. Get down. Get down.
Excuse me.
They're excited. I love this. See, this is real life. This is what it's like in Millicent Martin's apartment. Dogs.
Showbiz.
Very nice. That kitchen looks gorgeous. Oh, lovely. We were just having a nice look at your kitchen there. Looks gorgeous.
I designed it myself.
Fabulous. Very, very tasteful. Very tasteful. I mentioned when I was introducing you about The Boyfriend on Broadway in 1954. Did you do the London version in 53 first?
No. I was in Guys and Dolls in the chorus covering Vivian Blaine. And so she was the lead in Guys and Dolls. And John Haywood, who was one of the dancers, came to me and he said, I've been working on a little show called The Boyfriend that's at the Players Club, and it's gone very well. And Kernan Martin have said they would like to take the show to Broadway. He said, now, would you like to come in and audition for it? He said, because I think that, you know, you might be right. So I thought, oh, what can I do? And there was a music shop just at the end of my street. I went and had a look, and all the music was like 1 and 6 and 1 and 3, and I couldn't afford that. And I saw a basket and it said, all this music, 1 penny. So I went through it and I found Over My Shoulder by Jessie Matthews. So I didn't know what key it was in. I went to the audition, gave it to the pianist, and I said, well, whatever he plays the intro in, I will sing, which I did, doing that, over my shoulder goes 1 cow, over my shoulder goes 2 cows. So anyway, they liked it and they said, okay, you've got it. And I said, but I'm in Guys and Dolls. And back in those days, when you signed for the run of the show. The chorus people had to sign for a run of the show as well. So I said, I can't get out. And they said, Guys and Dolls is also Kernan Martin's show. They will take you out of the chorus and they will fly you. So we got on a plane with Julie Andrews and flew to America. And I spent 2 years there, doing the show and then doing a tour. And that's when I fell in love with American people.
Really? And
Yeah.
I know that Julie Andrews is still a big friend of yours, isn't she?
She's a big chum, and you see those flowers on the thing?
Yeah.
That's my birthday bouquet from Julie.
Wow.
I'm glad you said her name.
Oh.
Yeah.
You see, with Broadway, often it's that you have a career in the UK, you get into a show in London, and then that goes to Broadway. But with you, you were straight away on Broadway. That's amazing.
I know. Well, and great to do it in the chorus, because when I got there, the perfect young ladies in The Boyfriend are lovely parts, but I had, you know, kind of the smallest part of the four perfect young ladies, but it was fabulous because we learned how to behave. We learned how the stars were behaving. And whereas when you're in the chorus and you do the show, most of the times you just go off and sit in the dressing room. We were on, working and watching, and Julie was just so brilliant. She played this delicate flower so wonderful, and Julie has a mouth like I don't know. Her language, let's say it's very salty. I'll be kind and say it's very salty. And there she is on stage going, and you come off and she goes,
Right.
So we shared an apartment, which was great. We had an apartment on 45th Street near Broadway. It's all so glamorous, that was. I couldn't believe my luck, out of nowhere.
So let's go forward. We have to just mention that was the week that was. There are always programs over here all about it because it was innovative TV. How did it come your way?
Well, Ned Sherrin obviously had seen me doing things in the theatre. I'd done a couple of big shows by that time. I was sort of known in the theatre, but that was all. And he'd obviously been watching me, and he was doing, I think it was something like Tonight or the 6 o'clock. It was like a news show that they had on, I think 5 days a week. And they used to do a song every now and then, which would be a send up on something. I did one called After the Ball is Over, knocking at doors and think, well, you see, I am so popular. And we have to, I just have to put up with all this love.
It's your birthday, darling. There are more flowers from more superstars.
My birthday arriving. That's all right. They knock and then they go away. They leave the store.
Oh, look, there's Jane Fonda. Hi, Jane. How you doing?
Thank you.
Yeah, so carry on. You were doing this number.
What number?
Yeah, you were doing a song. You were given a song to sing, and somebody saw it and thought that's the right kind of thing for. That was the week that was. Is that what you were saying?
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes. So I did a couple of these shows for Ned, singing parodies on other shows with David Kernan as well. He came in for a couple of them, so we'd do duets and things. But it was a quick learn. We'd go in, they'd give us the songs and that, and the parodies, and we got about 3 hours to learn the whole thing and do it live. So Ned was watching that, the quick, we were both very, very fast learners. And so when they were going to do a pilot of, that was the week that was, he called me and he called David and he said, will you come in? And Kenny Coate and Lance Percival and Roy Kinnear and Willie Rushton, everybody came in and we did a pilot, which was a very long pilot, but then we changed it and we did a second pilot, which ran very, very well, and they picked it up. And so we had 6 shows, and we only had the contract for 6 shows. They didn't think it would run, so they didn't give it an extension. So when in 6 shows, it became so successful, and then they had to come back and re-sign all of us.
Fantastic. And with those numbers, because I've seen lots of footage of the show, obviously, everybody has, because you can see it on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
You would learn those songs. When you were performing them live, did you have the words on a card? Would you have Autocue, or would you just remember it and do it?
When we started, I used to get the songs, I used to get the lyrics on the Thursday. No, the music on the Thursday, the lyrics on the Friday, and do the show on the Saturday. The script, we got 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday and did it at 11 o'clock at night. Now, Some of them we were on Autocue, but the stuff that was too fast, because in those days it was a little Autocue, you couldn't get a lot on it. We couldn't. We had my jazz songs I had to learn. So again, that was, my dad had a photographic memory, and so I have a semi one. So that's what I think, you know, Ned knew that I would be able to do all this stuff. We'd all have our scripts with big letters on saying who we were, and we'd hold the script. And
is that a present? What's this? What's this that's arrived?
It's,
what is it? What is it?
It's a birthday cake.
Oh wow, look at
Isn't
this.
Oh,
gorgeous, fresh fruit on top.
Somebody sent that to me. Ooh.
Who's that from? Who's that from?
I think that's from the producer of Grace and Frankie.
Oh, very
Is that from Howard?
Very nice.
Oh, anyway.
Save that for later, because we have to say that we're recording this on the 8th of June, Millie's birthday, and it's about noon in LA, and it's 8 o'clock UK time. So that's why everything's happening over there, because everything's arriving. Cake and flowers. I love it. I feel like I'm at your party, but I'm not actually there. It's fabulous. But you mentioned David Kernan.
Yes, my lovely David.
You mentioned David Kernan. Yeah, is that kind of the time that you and David formed a friendship and started singing together beyond that was the week that was, thinking about doing stuff on stage, or did that come much later?
Yes, we stayed very close after it was a week. I mean, you hope you're going to stay close with almost everybody, but that doesn't happen in reality. But with David, because we were both singers, and then after that we were doing televisions, we were always doing stuff together and crossing over, or if he'd be in one studio and I'd be in the studio down the hall, but we'd see each other, you know. And so, and it was David who came up with the idea of doing an evening of Stephen Sondheim's work, because he was doing little night music and he'd gone out to do a couple of charity things on a Sunday, and he decided to sing a couple of Stephen Sondheim's songs, and he said they went so well with the audience, and everybody said, who is this person? And they knew Send in the Clowns. So he said he thought it would make a show. So I had been offered,
it did.
Yeah, well, I had been offered the film The Slipper and the Rose to play the wonderful fairy queen, and I was working in I was working for Michael Coe, the producer, and he said, and in a show, and he said, we can't let you out to do a movie. We can't, you're the top billing. So I went to see David and I said, ooh, boo, I've missed out on a lovely film. And he said, well, don't worry, I've had a thought about a show of Stephen Sondheim's music. And that was it. He told me about it and I got all excited because it sounded wonderful. And then we started, and he took me, he said, I want you to see a girl called Julia Mackenzie. She's singing in Cole at the little theatre on the water. Anyway, so we went and saw it, and I just fell in love with her. I said, oh, she's great. And she's got a fabulous voice because she can sing chest and she can sing wonderful soprano. So you can do those things, and she and I will work very well together. So that was it. We asked Julie to join us, and that was it.
And another lifelong friendship there as well with Julie.
Yes, she called me about half an hour before we started. She called me to say happy birthday. So that was lovely.
No,
she's my darling.
Were you doing the side-by-sides with the blessing from Stephen Sondheim? Was he aware of what you were doing and he said, great, I'm all for it?
Well, Ned phoned to ask, David phoned to ask him permission. And he said, a compilation of my work. He said, yes, you can do it, but I can't think of anything more boring. So he didn't think it would work. So then two friends of mine, I can't say their names because they pirated a piece of our show and sent it to Stephen, and he loved it, so he flew over, and we were doing rehearsals and everything to we were going to move from the little theatre to Wyndham's. We were moving there to do a long run. And so we were rehearsing everything, and he came over, as it was, he said, to play, because he wasn't anything to do with it. So but he wanted to sit with us and talk about the music and everything. And he liked it so much that he arranged for us to do a recording. And also he phoned Hal Prince, who is one of the top Broadway producers, and said, I think you should come over for the opening night. And Hal came over for the opening night, and we're all standing there having drinks and thinking, oh, isn't it lovely, we've got a show. And Hal Prince came up and said, I'm taking you to Broadway when you finish it here. So that was our opening night.
Incredible. It just absolutely worked. I mean, everybody knew at that time what a genius Sondheim was, but the three of you, with the right material, picking the right songs, it just worked.
Yeah, and the public weren't that knowledgeable about him, you know. Mm-hmm. And he actually said to us one day, he said to me, my goodness, he said, I really have to thank all of you. He said, because without Side by Side, he said, I probably wouldn't be as well known now as I am. And I said, where is a tape recorder when somebody says something like that to you? You know, now it's just hearsay.
I believe you. I believe you. You had a couple of marriages. We won't go into those, but you met Mark Alexander, who is there with you.
I'd like to say a couple of marriages that didn't work, but two lovely guys.
That's okay. Nice. That's nice.
Okay. Okay.
So you met Mark sort of late 70s, American guy. Is that when you started to think, maybe that's where I should be? Did he kind of push you over there a bit?
I'd always loved New York. I'd always went from boyfriend days. I would fly over to see opening nights. I'd fly over to visits with the people who were in the show. Paulette Gerard, who played the French maid, became a lifelong friend, and she just phoned with her daughter, Leanne. So I'd always felt comfortable in America, always. And when I met Mark, they had a party at Sardi's, which is the big theatre restaurant. They always had parties after opening nights. And he came up to speak to me. And he said, I am a vocal coach. He said, and I just want to tell you, you do everything that I'm trying to teach my students to do. He said, I watched you up there and you were doing everything that I like and admire. He said, so he said to me, maybe a little later when you settled in, maybe you would like to, you know, have dinner or come out to Connecticut over the weekend and see how we live in Connecticut. And I said, well, that would be very nice. And as he walked away, my aunt, who had flown over, said, oh, lovely, a pickup on opening night. And I had 2 dates with him and I knew that was it.
Oh, great.
We were married 3 months later.
And when he talked about your voice, was that something that you'd really worked on, right? Going way back to Italia Conti, had you always worked on your voice, or was that a natural gift that you had? You just knew how to use it?
Yeah, I had a few lessons at Conti's, you know, but I'd never had vocal training. No, I'd got a very husky voice, and it seemed to work for people. They seemed to like the sound, you know. And to this day, if I'm in a supermarket or something and I talk to Mark, somebody will go, oh, I know you, I recognize that voice. Yeah. So it served me well. So I didn't try to lose it and get a high soprano and everything. I just sang naturally. Yeah.
So when did you actually move to America? When did you say, I'm going to now live in the States?
When I met Mark.
Then?
I never, after Side by Side opened and I'd met Mark, I never went back. I mean, I went back home to pack things up and do stuff, but I phoned my aunt and said my pickup on opening night is permanent. And So I stayed, and my furniture and stuff was all sent over. So we made the house larger in Connecticut. We built on so that now there was 2 of us in the house. So we built on rather than move. We did an extension because it was a lovely house, and so that was it. When I came over in '77, that was it. I stayed.
But was there part of you, Millie, thinking, well, you know, I am a British performer. I've done really well over there. Audiences over there love me. I'm now coming to America to be with the guy that I love and want to do stuff over here. But was there a little part of you thinking, I've got to keep reminding British audiences that I'm still around. I've got to go back and do the odd show.
Yeah, I knew there was a risk. I knew there was a risk, and obviously I had to sort of let go of performing in England, except as a guest, because I could have had the choice and said, oh, Mark, you have to come and live in England. But he had a school. He had his studios where he had many students. And I couldn't ask him to give up his career to come. I can fly anywhere with my career. He can't. His students are there. So I made the choice that I would live in America with Mark, and we would work this out. And it worked very well, because I would fly to England and do stuff, and did all the song by songs with Julia on television of all the different composers. And that was lovely, because that's how I met some of the wonderful other, composers. It was doing all their songs and everything on the television. And then I was close enough here to be able to fly to Los Angeles to do television there. So it was a choice, but it was a risk, but as it turned out, it was okay.
Yeah.
Because I realized that as important as, really, I love being in the business, and I will never retire until I can't move. And then they'll have to wheel me on. but I knew that there was a risk, but I was willing to take that, and luckily things worked out well.
First time I actually saw you on stage was in Ollies in '87. I'd seen this a couple of times. Actually, a friend of mine was understudying Diana Rigg.
Yes.
So I'd seen it a few times. I'd seen it when she stood in for Diana a couple of times. And then when it was announced that you were coming into it to take over from Diana and Julian Mackenzie was staying on, I thought, I've just got to go see this. And there's been a big fuss about the recent Follies here, which was great. But for me, because that was the first time I'd seen Follies and I'd seen you on stage, it was just really a magical lineup of performers, great. Eartha Kitt, Laura's Gray before you, I know, but Mark, and you and Julia, terrific.
It was lovely. It was lovely, and I love working for Cameron Mackintosh, because he was the one that put me into The Card with Jim Dale. That was Cameron's first musical, the big musical that he put on. He did Side by Side. He did Side by Side unseen. He got in a car to go up. We were up north, and he did wrong and ended up almost in Wales. And he phoned Chris Biggins, who is a great friend of his and who we all adore. And he said, would you go and see it? And Biggins said, sure. And he went, and he said, take it. So Cameron took it unseen, which was fabulous. So I love Cameron. Do anything for him. Yeah.
So let's fast forward. You get Gertrude Moon in Frasier. Again, you talked about being offered it because they thought you could do the accent and you were right to play a mother. How many episodes was that in the end that you did? Well,
I did 4 seasons, so there was 26 to a thing, so that's 80 and 24 is 104. I guess I maybe did about 50 of them. It was quite a lot. It was quite a lot in the season. It all depends where the storyline was going, whether you get a good arc we call it an arc if you're in 3 or 4 for a storyline, you know. But if you're not in that storyline, then you might be 2 or 3 episodes that you're not there, and then you come back in. So it all depends how the storyline's running.
And great memories of that, Millie. Really good production.
Yeah.
Nice people.
They were absolutely fabulous. Again, David Lee, who became a dear friend and is still a dear friend, he is so great with people, and he's such a gentleman, and he treats people with such respect. Again, from him down, it filters down through all the people, and he used to direct a lot of the episodes too. So again, that was a joy. And I said to Mark when it was over, I said, well, that's it. I'm never going to get another series where the people will be that lovely and be that gorgeous to work with and make it all fun. I said, that's a one-off. And it was what, like 15 years, I think. But here comes another one with these wonderful people. You know, it's lovely to walk into the makeup room and have them go, hello, Mel, come back, come and sit down, want a cup of tea, you're going to go to, you know, and it's like that with all of them, the cameraman, everybody that works there is having a good time because of the producers who allow that to be happening, you know, in the thing. And Jane and Lily are so open to everybody. They're not doing the stars walking on, they don't talk to everybody. They know everybody's name. They know all the cameramen and the lighting, and they're saying good morning to everybody. I mean, and so it's a joy. It's a joy. And I wish the audience could see one of our days filmed just to see how happy it is.
Did you know them before? Had you ever met Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin? Had your paths ever crossed?
No, but I had seen Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, in her one-woman show on Broadway, and from that moment I just loved her. It was so good, and Jane Fonda is fabulous. I mean, all the films she's done, and she's brilliant. But it was great because I walked in the first day. In the second year, when I was going to be what they call recurring, I walked in with my script and I sat down, and I'm the only new girl in town, you know, the rest have all been in it. And Lily got up from the table and came round and gave me a big hug and said, oh, I watched your episode, very good, very welcome, you know. And that's how it's been for the last 3 seasons. Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter how experienced you are and what you've done. That first day when you step into something where everybody knows each other, that's nerve-wracking. First day at school is nerve-wracking.
Yeah. Well, you know, the whole thing is they've asked you to come. You've got to prove that they didn't make a mistake. I mean, can you imagine the whole table sitting there going, ooh, this is not very good, you know. So it is nerve-wracking, but they made it lovely. They, you know, and whenever a guest comes in, when we do the table read, and the guest is in to do it with them, they say, and look who we've got this week. It's so and they all go, hey, and they really make you feel welcome. This is wonderful for me because we work and we work and we work, and we forget the fabulous things that happen to us along the way in our careers, because our careers are so different. We don't spend 20 years in the same office. We're always working, we're always with strangers and making new things work. And we are so lucky, and we get such joy out of our work. There was a saying that I heard the other day. They said, if you do something that you love, you will never have to work a day in your life. It's true. And it's true. Yeah. And look at you doing. I'm going to do you doing Wicked. You were absolutely brilliant in it.
Oh,
I'm telling the audience, I went to see him. He was wonderful. He was funny. He was gorgeous. He was sexy. He was brilliant. And I fell in love with him. I loved the outfit because it made you look handsome. I didn't agree that he should look like an idiot. You know, you look wonderful, and it was great. You have been a real friend to me for so many years. I'm going to tell you it's another thing. We did Noises Off, and it was a long tour around England. And I was in the hotels because I needed room service and all that, being senior. Every day, this gentleman phoned me in the morning and say, "What do you want to do? Do you want to go to a gymnasium? Want to go to a movie?"
And she said, "No, for God's sake, get lost."
Shall we go and have breakfast together? He never let me be alone or lonely for that entire tour. And he became one of my dearest friends because of his kindness and his affection.
Well,
yeah.
You know, when you get offered a job and Millicent Martin's playing the lead, I mean, that's a big deal. But sometimes when you work with people who you've admired, you know, you're a bit disappointed. They're not quite, and you were terrific. I mean, we'll have to stop this Mutual Admiration Society thing, but you were you were fun, and everything you've just said there about Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda, the way they are with everybody. You were like that in the show. You know, you welcomed everybody. You were the star of the show. It's a tough show, Noises Off, isn't it? It's a really tough physical show. Anybody who's seen it or been in it, any performers watching this, they know what it's like. It's a heck of a show, and on tour as well. You know, it's exhausting. You were always there, and every night, so excited.
But plus, the one thing I love, the audience, you usually learn one script, but with this show, you had to learn the same script.
Yeah.
Twice, one script, and then the same storyline, but with different script, because one you were doing on stage and one you were doing off stage. And although you were off stage, the audience had to hear you behind the set doing the other one. And to have to learn two scripts. Anyway, move on.
And also that show, we just must say, because Noises Off is about things going wrong, and everything went wrong on our tour. I think you lost your voice first couple of nights. I got the end of a plant in my eye and had to go to the eye hospital, and I don't know, torn a retina or something like that. Cargill, God bless him, he had a problem on stage. Somebody else fell down the stairs. A girl fell down the stairs at the theatre stage door and broke her ankle. It was just... But we got through it. I just wanted to say before we finish, I know you're working on your memoir. I don't know whether it's written yet. Good Times and Bum Times, it's called. Did you want to call it I'm Still Here? But
I was going to call it I'm Still Here, and Stretch beat me to it, but that's all right. But I actually like this title because it's the first line of I'm Still Here. Good times and bum times, I've seen them all, and my dear, I'm still here. And I think with show business, this is a good title for a book about show business, because it is good times and bum times. Yeah. It really is. Everybody has to have huge patience to be in our business. When people say, "Oh, I think people in show business are all a bit crazy," no, we are very, very bright, and we are very, very clear-headed, because we decide at a very early age to spend our entire life being a part-time worker. We have enough strength and enough resilience to know that we're not going to have a job for more than a few weeks at a time for our entire life.
Yeah.
That takes courage.
Yeah.
And that's what I think people in the business are, courageous.
And right now, of course, there ain't no work here in the UK or anywhere else. We are going to be the last to go back to work, which is why, of course, we're doing this, for Acting for Others and for performers and industry professionals who are having a really bad time, technicians and everything else. And on behalf of them, I want to thank you for giving up your time. Any little kind of message to anybody who's having a bit of a bad time right now, Millie?
Well, you know, when no money's coming in, there's nothing I can say to you that can do anything about that. But I think our training is to play somebody else, and we do it very well. We can play good people and bad people and happy people and sad people. I say, try playing a happy person. Try saying to yourself, I've got my health, I've got my life, I've got my friends. If you are luckily married, you've got your husband, you've got your children. Just say, I have now so much more than a load of other people have. Just grab what you've got and know that what you've got is worth everything to you. And it's really important that you enjoy what you've got, even if it is very limited. If you can stay home, you are one of the lucky ones. If you go out to work, we bless you, we thank you.
Great words. Thank you. You better get back to writing that book. Is it written? Is it no? Are you in the middle of it?
No, we're in the middle. We're in the middle of it. I'm now writing bits because obviously I didn't write this on my own because I'm not a very good writer. So there's a lovely gentleman, Peter Sheridan, who's helping me with the book, which is great. He's wonderful. But I'm now writing bits to send him about all my friends. So that's going to be fun because I've got little funny stories about everybody, and they're all going to go in. And I might title that chapter "You've Got to Have Friends," which is another song.
Can't wait to read that. Can't wait to read that. Good Times, Bum Times by Millicent Martin. And we've had a great time. I've had a great time talking to you. Thanks again for doing this. It means a lot. Happy birthday, and many, many more. And get back on that set, girl. Get those scripts learned.
I will do my best. Thank you, my darling. It's lovely to see you, my dear friend.
Lots of love, Millie.
Thank you for doing this for charity. Bless you.
And thanks to you for watching. If you've enjoyed it, you know what to do. Just go to the Acting for Others website. If you're not on that, if you're watching this on YouTube, go to the Acting for Others website, hit the donate button, and you'll be taken to the Just Giving page and give whatever you can. Please. Thank you so much for watching that conversation. If you've enjoyed it, please go to the Acting for Others website, which is actingforothers.co.uk, and hit the donate button, which will take you immediately to the Just Giving page. And please give as little or as much as you possibly can to help those performers and people in the industry who really need your help financially right now. Thanks a lot.